show ya Nicki Minaj. Akutora show ya Nicki Minaj zvangari akuita kufamba akufamba no street. Azisirizo.
Kungu, I thank you so much for your time. Handisa makeup yako ngaite decent, ngaite yemunhu anotya Mwari. Kwete kuti lash.
Welcome to Young People. This is a platform where young people come to talk about issues which affect them as young people. And just to say that the views that are coming from these young people on this panel, they represent not their way of seeing things, but also they're carrying many other young people from all over the world and the country in these discussions. So today we are going to look at a topic, a very controversial topic, and this topic really has brought a lot of discussions in many circles and in many different cultures. This is a topic about dressing. We are looking at modest dressing. So I want to know from young people, because young people, in most cases, they are blaming the church, they are blaming adults to say, you're taking us to generations, your generation, but we are living in today's generation. And they are saying the dressing of today's generation is different from the dressing of the older generations. But the Bible is talking about modest dressing. So I want here to discuss, to see whether what is modest today is different from what was modest then. So my first question to young people is, what do you understand by modest?
So modest dressing is wearing less skin-revealing clothes that are usually based on religion, culture, and beliefs. They are usually not affected by time.
So we're talking about less revealing, less skin revealing.
I want to add on, less skin and body revealing.
That is modest.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Anyone with another understanding that is different of modest?
Okay, when I check my dictionary, I got a synonymous word, moderate. Moderacy.
Moderate. Yes. Okay. So does this modest dressing only apply to females and not to males?
I think it also applies to males. For example, the trending chinos these men are wearing these days, they are not skin revealing, but they are body revealing, like what my brother said.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then on skin revealing, I know it's a bit controversial, but the short men wear. Sometimes their legs, mommy. Their legs. So the shorts, they wear.
The shorts. So we are generally agreeing here that modest is not only about females, but it's also about males. So now maybe we need to move here to say, so why is there controversy in dressing if you as young people really know that to be modestly dressed is that you should not be revealing anything? You should be dressing in a way that doesn't bring out your body to anyone. You know that is modest. So why is it there's controversy in dressing if everyone knows what modest is?
The challenge is some people are not really aware, especially guys. They are not aware that by wearing a sweatpant without boxers inside, things will be dingling as you are walking. You are not the one who can see the dingling. And other males may not even notice that there's something dingling there. But it's the females who are affected. Even as Amanda has said, there are certain legs with guys, they just assume that the legs are okay. But there are certain legs which are hairy, nice and firm and toned. That when you are looking at them, this guy is dressed innocently, but he's not aware of the effects that they are giving on us females.
You have answered my question in a way that sometimes one may think that they're dressed modestly, yet the next person who is looking, they are seeing that there's something that is what? That is amiss. Or someone may come out of their home, their mother's house, they are dressed, they think I'm dressed properly, but the next person is affected by what you're wearing. So let's look at the types of clothing. Which clothing can we probably categorize as these are not modest? Because we already started talking about some of them. The trousers that doesn't have a boxer short and some things are dangling. What else?
So we have, for males, we have transparent shirts, which will be showing their six packs. They don't really know that. I think maybe some of them know for them to get attraction or attention from from us as women. And then we have this vests that they wear, which also show the six packs.
And for ladies, there are these transparent tops that can expose even their color of the bras or even their nipples. They'll be outside. It's also a concern.
Sometimes it's also not about the clothes themselves, but how someone chooses to wear them. For example, like you're wearing sweatpants, and then you don't have a panty or a boxer short to hold your apparatus tight. So sometimes it's about how you're wearing what you're wearing, not specifically the clothes.
Yes, so just to answer the previous question and adding on to the current question, where is the controversy? We're now in a global ecosystem where there are a lot of cultures that are being mixed. So now moderate it doesn't have one standard because we are mixing cultures and traditions. So what may be modest to you may not be modest to me, because maybe I was raised in the Middle East and was supposed to cover everything except the eyes. And you were raised in East Africa where the skin is now darker because we weren't wearing too many clothes. It's too hot. So it all varies upon where you are and what your beliefs are.
And okay. That is a good point. Because you find that in some places like, what do you call it, Scotland, their traditional dress is men, they wear what, and when they are walking, probably what we're talking about, the things can be dangling if they don't have things inside. So it depends from where you're coming from. But we want to then find out that, is it really different? Is what is modesty here really very different from what is modest out there? We want to come to that point.
I'm also thinking every type of clothing has got a certain type of occasion. So it's actually an abuse for someone to put on a swimming trunk whilst they are walking in town. It's actually an abuse for someone to wear gym tights, like gymnasium dress code, and they are coming to church. So I think we should actually put a bar or a standard where we have to put on a certain type of dressing for a specific occasion.
So you're saying generally that it becomes not modest if you are wearing something that is meant for some other places and we are getting with that type of dressing into a place where it was not supposed to get into. All right? Okay.
All right, like what he said, sometimes, like what you had asked, the modesty doesn't change. It changes or how you are defining it, but it doesn't like change. It's like wedding gown is a wedding gown, right? But now there are wedding gowns that are boob tubes, and I've got a big bust, and my cleavage now wants to fall out of the wedding gown. Then is that modesty? Yet that person is wearing a wedding dress at their wedding. So sometimes it's now like what others were saying, body shaping and what. And sometimes it's also the time and the place you are wearing what you're wearing.
So in essence, you are saying it can also not be modest, even the type of swimming trunk that you are wearing. Though you are going for swimming, but you might be putting on a trunk that is not modest. Okay? At the back, Lisa, and then at there.
Right. I want to make a comment that, like Nkosi was saying, indeed, modest depends on the occasion that you are at. But I also want us to think of settings. I'll give an example to say, when a pastor is invited to preach at Nyazura Rural Center, there's a type of dressing that he has to wear so that he fits into the community. So now if the pastor is wearing his fancy suit with the gold buttons and the neck skin shoe, then the whole church will be distracted and they miss the point. So when we are talking about modest, you need to be careful of the setting. If you're traveling to Ghana, do a little research. What's modest in Ghana so that you don't end up offending people. Modest is the principle, but it's applied with regards to culture, setting, and occasion, but the principle itself does not change. So wherever you are, be modest as according to the setting.
If you're also going to a rural area, you're coming from Harare, you need to understand what they wear in the rural setting so that you don't become not modest when you go there.
Okay, not to be sexist or anything, there's a movement that's been coming of women empowerment. And because of this feminists, some of them are saying, we're being empowered so much that you guys are setting us captive by making us wear bras. So by us not wearing bras, we're showing that we're empowered. And I feel like that's an abuse to us men because we're not used to seeing nipples everywhere. And you're going in town, it's nipples, 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 nipples. You're going down the combi, it's nipples. For us, it's an abuse in the name of saying we have been empowered. So people are walking naked because they're saying we're women, we're free to wear what we want. Even Christian women are saying that also now.
So you're saying, in essence, you don't wear for yourself, yes. You also wear for others. You need to be very conscious of what you are wearing, what it is doing to the next person.
That is accurate.
Okay. Okay. Was your end up, Kathy? Okay.
Okay, I wanted to say that in my research, I understood that the higher you go, the lighter it becomes. We are different from certain people. As black as we are, the higher the skirt or the short goes, the lighter it becomes as we go up. And that is an obstruction, whether you are male or female. The fact that you are showing the differences in skin, it has an impact on the other person. They'll start seeing and wanting to feel if the skin is soft or hard. So by just going up there is no longer modesty in that.
It's getting hot. It's getting hot. It's getting hot. We are on Young People.
Say.
Please don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Young People.
Say.
We are discussing the topic on dressing. What is modest dressing? Before we went for a break, you guys were telling us about your view of modest, and there was a hint which I had not taken. Yes.
Yes. So my fellow colleague said, people start thinking this, but am I responsible for how someone feels? I wear what I want because I'm confident. It gives me confidence. It helps my self-esteem. So whether I wear a mini skirt, as long as I'm comfortable with it. There are people in the Bible, Rachel, her structure was described because she was wearing something that is tight fitting. So with the structure that I have, I will wear something that will reveal that God gifted me these things to be seen by other people, not just for me to just hide them. So I wear what I want and how what I wear will make me feel. So that's that.
Okay, you want to respond? Yes. Yeah.
Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable. That applies even to dressing. And then we know when Cain was asked, where is your brother? He says, am I my brother's keeper? It sounds very similar to what someone's saying. So you should be your brother's keeper. Yes, Ezekiel 33 talks about us being watchmen, talking about the war that's coming. Now it feels as if we're not only failing to be watchmen, but it feels that now we're actually bringing the war ourselves. As Christians, we would have failed our duty. Ellen White says we're actually judged according to our influence on others.
Okay, so it brings me to the next question that I wanted to ask you. There is a dress code for for different occasions, isn't it? Yeah. Let's come back to the church. Let's come back to the church. Young people, in most cases, they are, for lack of a better word, I don't want to say accused, but there is a thinking that young people, they don't know how to dress for church. And it comes to the point of where you're talking about that you be your brother's keeper. There's a notion that there's need to educate young people to dress, especially for church. I want to find out from you guys. Do you feel that the dressing that the church is there a prescription that you are being given by adults or by parents or by the church to say dress in this way, which you feel, is it fair or is not? It's not fair. Is there fairness in the prescription if there's anything like that? Or let's say, what are you supposed to wear for church? What are you being told to wear for church? Let's start there so that then we look at it to say, is it fair or is it not fair?
All right, so we're told to wear, let's say, dresses or skirts that cover our knees. and we're told to wear blouses or tops which have sleeves. So I think that it's fair, because you find out that as young people we're comfortable to go to court dressing modestly, but once you're told that you're supposed to go to church dressing modestly, you start complaining. I don't think it's very fair for us to say we are not supposed to wear what we're told to wear at church.
So sleeveless, long skirts, what do you say about that?
So long skirts don't really define what modesty is, because they can be long and very tight. Okay, so I can come with a slack at church, but a slack is actually better than the skirt. That is that's being worn. So the people are saying young men and women don't know what to wear. What is it that they want us to wear? Because from where I'm standing, if we stand next to each other, we are wearing similar clothes. So at least if they define what it is they want and stop wearing what they want us not to wear.
Okay. We'll get to that one. I have got a question that I would also want young people to answer, almost relating to what you're saying now. Kathy?
I do think that it's fair that there is a prescription for people to wear a certain type of clothing at church, because you'll find that not all of us come to church for the same reason. And not all of us come from the same background. So you may be a boy who comes out of a house with 6 people. So you're used to seeing skin. It's nothing that alarms you. But then Geraldine comes in and she's plus size and she's wearing a skirt. She's wearing a skirt that's above the knees. Now you've caught everyone's attention, and people are no longer paying attention to the reason why they came to church. So the prescription whereby the dress should be below the knees, your armpits should be covered, the shoulders and your chestal area should be covered, is a good one. But I also feel like there's also an underrated topic when it comes to women's underwear in the church. Ladies no longer see the need to wear petticoats like our mothers used to wear. We now like wearing tights. If it's not tights, it's G-strings and thongs, and our dresses are sheer. So in as much as the dress is long, it's not tight. As you walk, we are seeing everything going on.
Okay, I wanted to say that in a school setup, there are uniforms that children wear to go to school. In a church setup also, there is specifications. If you remember, the priests were not allowed to go into the sanctuary without covering. They would have to cover under there, so that it's interesting that they were told to sort of wear sort of pants, napkins, something like that, so that they don't dingle their things in church. It's the same thing with us. If we're saying we are dressing for church, there are prescriptions. We are going there for worship. And you are not supposed to be the center of attraction. You are supposed to be a brother's keeper. It means if you are going to church, you believe in the Bible. There are certain verses which mention that you ought to be spiritual. And you ought to our point of worship should be Jesus, should be God. And if then you are seated beside me and I can't concentrate, and I'm just looking at you, there are certain things that we cannot control how our eyes move.
So she's talking about the gentlemen, the way that the gentlemen are wearing when they come to church, that is affecting some of the girls. I don't know, is it something that is also happening the other side? Boys, do these girls wear something that is also affecting you, or it's only you who are affecting the girls with your danglings?
I'm thinking it's both. Tino was talking about nipples. She also was talking about G-strings, cleavage, long vents.
Are these coming in church?
Yeah. Vents are coming in. Cleavages are coming in. G-strings are coming in. So my point is, sometimes it's very difficult to prescribe a certain type of dressing in church when in the 6 days you keep on, so the majority of your clothes are just G-strings and nipples, and so it becomes hard now for you to then get it will seemingly be abnormal for you to try to put on or to cover things that you failed to cover in the 6 days.
In essence, we are saying that who you are is not only for church. is who you are even in your everyday life. So we need to be modest even when we are out there, as much as we need to be modest when we are coming to church. So it brings me to the next question here. If you see a young person dressed in a way that the cleavage is out and the vent is too high up there, or the guy is dangling, and if elders or elderly women come to you as a young person to say, you're not dressed properly for church, how would you take that?
I believe reprimanding is okay, but the approach elderly men, elderly women is somehow not proper. I feel if I come with my short skirt at church, you don't need to come with a Zambia in front of everyone and cover me. It's better you come after church. Dasi, your skirt was too short. Try next time to wear longer skirts because you attract men in church and they will fail to get the gospel. Approach is key.
I'm going to have to sort of oppose her for a minute there. I agree when she says you don't have to do it in front of everyone, but you can't let a service pass while Dasi's sitting in the front and she's sitting like this and her skirt is short. You're obstructing the preacher and the people who are in the front and the people around you. So we can't wait for the service so that we can reprimand you. Because we need to do business at church. We came here to fellowship. You could actually lose a soul because of your dressing. So the deaconesses and the deacons, that's their job. I don't prescribe to the people who just come with the Zambia in front of people. You can come and you can just say, you walk outside and you have your conversation, you come back with your Zambia. Or you sit in the back, whatever the case may be. But I don't think we should let everyone be comfortable in their dressing just because you don't want to be embarrassed. Although I don't subscribe to humiliation.
I think before we address the question, what you're supposed to wear, we should find the reason behind it. Why are you wearing that? Why are you coming to church in the first place? Once we know the reasons behind that, we can then look for, because this now leads us to the problem. We are now attacking the symptoms, but then we're supposed to be addressing the problem in the first place.
So if I got you correctly, Marco, sometimes you're quick to say you're not dressed well. Maybe that's the only dress that I have. Yes. Maybe I've got a sickness or an illness of some sort, which makes me wear what I'm wearing. So we need to find the reason first, and then we address it so that it can help that young person. Good point, Marco. There's a hand there at the back.
I wanted to say that, do you know that there are other people who are that rude to the extent that you go to ask them why they are wearing what they are wearing? They'll respond to you in a way that you can't even go on to tell them that this is wrong. They actually know that what they are wearing is wrong, but they don't want to be reprimanded.
So when we are talking about church, as the Zimbabweans, we have adopted the British culture. We are only looking at cleavages, but you cannot wear your clothes without a jacket on top. We cannot see from here going here. You should not. If you are going to wear something, make sure it's long sleeved and covering. So now there are now contexts of when we are saying now modesty in church, and yet you have your top is here, shoulder what? Yeah, shoulder level, and the top is from here to here. That is not modesty.
It's getting hot. It's getting hot. We are going to take a short break. We will be right back. Welcome back to Young People. Same. We are talking about modest dressing. And before we went for this short break, you were giving us Yeah,
we have a tendency to look at modesty dressing as wearing tight things, but you can wear oversized things and they are not modest. You can wear clothes that take all the leaves that are on the ground. That is not modesty. So let's not discriminate. Let's not select what we think is modesty and ignore and think that if I wear something oversized, I'm modest.
So, you wanted to say something?
Yes. I wanted to say that the idea of people running with Zambias and clothes, there's a challenge with someone, a woman trying to control how someone's daughter dresses when they can't control their own daughter.
Okay, so it takes me to the question that I want to ask you before we bring in the parents. Are we getting good role modeling in terms of dressing from our parents? Are they role modeling it? Are they showing you in the right way what they are saying? Are they doing it as parents?
I think the older generation are doing a fair job, but then we then go in and say that they're backward. We don't want to dress the way they're dressing because they're backward, and the generation has changed. Things have changed. But I would like to believe that most parents are fair. They could allow you a power of choice. It just has to be modest. But for us, it's because we are trying to strike a balance between fitting in the world and fitting in the church. So we're trying to bring a sense of conformity into the church.
Do you know that there are other parents who dress modestly, but when you are at home, they actually encourage you to wear something that is not that modest? Because when I come from home to go to church wearing something that's not modest, it's because my parents allowed me to go to church like that.
And there are some parents who are buying actually for you.
They are. I think some of them, they're actually letting us wear things that they wish they would also wear, but they can't, but they will wear it through us.
Help me to welcome our parents. Please do come in. Please take this. Thank you for coming. We have got Mr. and Mrs. Mtimwi, and we also have got Mrs. Suspens. We are here on Young People Say, and we are talking about modest dressing. Young people, we're talking about what they understand by modest, and they are also understanding that there is dressing that is befitting for church. But now issues are also coming out that they also know what they want to dress, what they want to put on as young people. And sometimes as parents, you impose the dressing that you would have worn yourself, but you can't on them. And there are also young people who are acknowledging that parents are doing a good job in terms of teaching them how to dress. So we have got a question for you. I'll just ask you one question, then leave it to the young people to ask you questions. What is your ideal dressing when you're looking at modest? What would you rather have your children wear as parents? What clothes do you say no to, and what clothes do you say yes to as a father and as a mother?
Thank you so much, Mrs. McCoy, for that question. As a parent, what I would consider as modest dressing for my child, it would emanate from what I consider as modest as a child, because dressing will reveal the identity of my child. And you know, the world, it's a global village, and we are on stage. And the way I put on clothes, or the way my child put on their clothes, it's speaking something. It's saying something about the character of my child. Mm-hmm. So what I call modest is something that is not really all that revealing, that will leave scant to imagination, but something that will cover most parts of the body, and also that will make the child comfortable enough so that they are confident to be in a public place.
So, Mrs. Mtimwi, is modest just for church?
No, modest not just for church, but for the church and also for the community. And if you can remember that whenever you dress, you are preaching. It's a sermon. When someone sees you dressing like in fancy clothes, there is a message that you are sending to that person. So we have to guard our dresses jealously.
Oh, that's powerful. So dressing is communication. Pastor Mtimwi, as a father, do you have types of clothes that you say boys shouldn't wear for church and girls shouldn't wear for church from a father's point of view?
Yes, from a father's point of view, of course, the church prescribes. But from my view as a father, that which does not disgrace our family should be put on when we are going to church, both for boys and for the ladies or the girls.
the young people, if you can give examples of clothes that you think we are saying these ones, they disgrace our family.
Yes. Number one, that which exposes sacred parts should not be put on either for church or for the community. That's for the girls. For the gentlemen or for the boys, that which shapes them or that exposes their manhood should not be put on for church.
There you have it, young people. Questions to our parents. Yes.
Okay, so I heard one of our parents saying that clothes reveal who you are. But we've got ladies who are doing stuff in long dresses that are considered modesty. We've got perverts, men who are raping women or children who have not even exposed anything. So in that situation, what can you say?
I'll take the second question. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I want to ask parents why there's a bias. It seems as if they're so hard on the girl child, yet they're so easy on the boy child. Are they scared of the boys?
So each one of you answer either of the questions. Yeah, you wanted to say something?
I wanted to ask why do the women have guts to go to girls with Zambias and all, but they cannot go to their fellow women who have slits, who have cleavages open and stuff?
We'll start with Pastor Mtimwi. Why are you hard on girls? It seems like you're hard on girls and not on boys.
It's an abuse, if I may admit, to take sides on principle. So our apology on that one is parents, but we should teach our children together, mold them the same way.
Probably, I would add to say, sometimes we forget that girls, the protection is for all children, but you find that the woman is the one who gets to attract the male side. So sometimes we do that so that they attract the right boys into the family. It's just to help the pastor. Yeah, Mrs. Mtimwi, the question was,
That's in situations where women are wearing long dresses.
yeah, there are women who are wearing long dresses, but their character is not long. Okay? Yeah?
Said that as women, we are the ones who are doing it. I think we have to go and teach some of the women to do something that is good.
So we are admitting that sometimes we're not good examples. We are not good examples, but we need to be good examples for our children.
So what I wanted to say about that question is that there are men who are wearing modest clothes, but they are raping. And those who are wearing long clothes, but they are prostituting. Yes, prostitution or rape and all that, they are evil, isn't it? They are bad in their own. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the way somebody dresses and what it does. Because somebody might even have their cleavages outside, but they haven't been raped, isn't it? But can we make it a right? Because they haven't been raped. We can't make it a right. So we are talking about our dressing and the evils of rape and adultery.
Yes.
They are different.
So you can take that one. You women, Mrs. Suspense, you rush to put a Zambia on girls, but you're not putting Zambias on other women. Why?
That selective adjustment is not good. We are being judgmental.
Yes.
We are saying the young girl, when she does it, it's not right. But when it's an older woman who is doing it, it's right. That's wrong. What we do for the girls should also apply to the
adults.
Adults as well.
Yes. I just want one person who wants to say something to the parents, not to ask them questions. What would you want your parents to know as young people with regards clothing? Who is that one? Lisa, okay?
What I want the parents to know is that trends and fashion changes. In as much as it is important for us to remain modest, please do not ask us as young people to be modest in the 1980s way. Allow us to be modest in the 2000 way. Thank you.
We are on Young People. Say. Please don't go away. We will be right back. Welcome back to young people. Say. In the last segment, we had parents, and they really gave us some nuggets, and they really supported us as young people, and they've answered most of our questions. But at this juncture, he helped me to welcome our pastors so that they give us counsel from the word of God pertaining to modest dressing. Welcome, pastors. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome, Pastor Katusha and Pastor Mzengi. To Young People Say. We are discussing with young people the topic on modest dressing. We had parents who came in and they gave nuggets to young people. They gave them insights into what is modest dressing. And we want to know from you as pastors, is there biblical evidence that dressing has an impact on our salvation? Does dressing have an impact on our salvation?
Basically, anything and everything which we do is supposed to give glory to God. So, in the way you dress, it affects how maybe you relate to that God. So you can't say my dressing has nothing to do with God or whatever, because in whatever we do, whether it's in dressing, we are supposed to give glory to God.
Yes, I think it has an effect. That which attracts you to what is inside is seen on the outside. Take, for example, how do you know a bottle of Coke is actually black? Is the bottle black? No, the transparent bottle shows you that inside is black, but you're attracted to the blackness of the Coke bottle. So we are attracted to what is inside from the outside.
So is there any standard, a Christian standard of dressing? I don't want to talk about Adventism or Catholicism. I want to talk about Christian in general. Is there a standard for Christian dressing?
Yes, being modest means you need to cover the essential parts that would normally attract someone of the opposite sex. So if they're not covered, then they're attracting. So that becomes a problem. Yeah. So your modesty must cover essential parts that are supposed to be seen in private. Yeah.
And do we have verses from the Bible that speaks to what you are saying as pastors?
Yes, if you go to 1 Peter chapter 3 and reading from verse number 3 to verse number 4, it says that our adornment is not supposed to be more on outward dressing, but on the inside. So the principle which we get from there is that as Christians, our number one concentration on the issue of dress is supposed to be inward beauty more than outward beauty. We are worried more about the beauty of our heart than the beauty which is on the outside. If you are beautiful inside, you will be beautiful outside too.
And also the Proverbs 31 woman, she clothes herself with dignity and with strength. There is nothing wrong with being simple and looking lovely. So by exposing yourself, there's a difference between being beautiful and being sexy. You have to choose your evil, because you can't force yourself to be beautiful because you're sexy. Sexy and beautiful are two different things.
There you are, young people. Questions to the pastors. I'll start with you, Kathy. We want to make it very short so that they can answer all your questions.
Pastor, my question is on modesty. What do we say to mothers that allow their kids to come into church with pink braids, blue braids, and the like? Is it okay? Because it's not becoming normal where we talk about how we are dressing and the like, but mothers are putting certain types of, and even haircuts for the boys. I believe this is under dressing and as well. What does the word of God say regarding to that?
Another question? We have two, then the answer.
I wanted to ask also on the issue of women wearing pants. There is a verse which is normally quoted, which is in Deuteronomy, where it says that let a man wear that which pertaineth to a man, and a woman let her wear that which pertaineth to a woman. Where do pants fall in? That's number one. Then number two, I wanted to ask from the verse that he quoted, that is it okay to wear expensive clothes? Because in the Shona version, it seems like it's saying don't wear something expensive.
So The pastors, you can respond. One of you responds to Kathy and the other one to the lady. Thank you.
You don't need to expect to be treated like a nun when you are dressed like a prostitute. The Bible says there is a way of dressing that belongs to the prostitutes. So you need to know who you are and what you want. So show your beliefs even through your dress.
And also...
So, Pastor, you are saying pants, because that was the question?
I did not talk about...
yes.
Yes.
wanted him to clarify. Yeah, so let me clarify.
The young people get lost.
Yeah,
Okay.
he didn't talk about pants.
Yeah.
So, if you can go to your father-in-law and know to cover your body, and yet you come to Christ when angels cover their toes, you need to understand that God is bigger than everyone else. And he gives you a privilege to say, come as you are, but you have no right to remain as you are. So justification you come, sanctification you must change. So however, on pants, is that what she was talking about? I think you should be wise. You're going mountain climbing. You can't go in a skirt, because a mountain is up, and there are going to be people behind you. So your skirt won't work up there. So you need to be wise. But maybe let's wear our track bottoms and cover with big t-shirts. It becomes a problem when your track bottom is a tight, looking like skin. There's a difference. So your track bottom can be baggy, because there are people, then there are some people who are just generally fully. So let's also be wise on the occasion that we are going to.
Thank you, Pastor.
Yeah, I want also to say something on the pants.
Okay.
When the Bible says a woman should not put on that which pertains to a man, you look at the context. Then the women and the men were not wearing trousers. They were wearing something like a what? A robe like. So there were certain robes that were for men and robes that were for women. It's not talking about pants.
Okay. Pastor, the blue, the red hairstyles that are coming into church?
It's not the color of the braid that's the problem. It's whether or not we should braid our hair. Now, it becomes a challenge now when you don't want us to braid the hair and put pink, but the deaconess has got a wig.
I know.
The other thing which we ought to be careful of is the Bible gives principles. You will not find a scripture that will say pink braids, this or that color, whatever. It's then up to us as individuals to say, is this thing fitting into the principle which has been given by the Bible?
Something that is awkward is if your mother...
Pastor Katusha, I have to say hold on, so that the young person asks the question and then you come in with your comments. Yes?
Right. So my question is that you were saying that during that time they were wearing robes which were specified to say this is for women and this is for men. But nowadays we will come with the justification to say for ladies' pants they'll have their zip on the left side or on the right side. So that's another justification that comes along. So what do you say about that? And then another last question is to say, you talked about prostitutes. Do you know that prostitutes nowadays, they are no longer wearing anything? It's either they are wearing maybe this less like clothing which reveals everything on their bodies. So someone, let's say for the younger generation, they will not be able to understand when you say do not wear like a prostitute when they are wearing something they think it's modest.
Yeah, Pastor Katusha, you can make a comment and then answer that one.
I'm saying what's awkward is when your son, you and a mother and a son come out of the same house, and when you're facing that way, you look like you're two boys. Yeah, you can't have a haircut like your son. It's awkward. Yeah, you can't look like two men facing that way. Only when you turn this side we realize, that's his mother. Yeah, there are some things that are extreme. The reason why prostitutes are dressing that way is because it's not about the outside only. Those people are marketing. They're doing the most to look holy. So we are saying modesty is simply saying, let me, when I come to the presence of God, cover such that I'm honorable before God. And in case there's someone a weaker, I like the point that was raised. If I go to the rural areas, you don't go with the most expensive suit. In fact, you don't even change 7 times a week. You change once, so that you don't over emphasize how good God is to you and not to them.
Dr. Mzengi, 30 seconds. How you conclude and help young people.
Okay. The challenge which we have in these days is that most people actually want to ask, how much can I still remain in the world and still be saved? Yeah. Rather than asking, how much do I need to detach myself from the world and be saved? We still want to be in the world, but we don't want to miss heaven. So we are in between, we are lukewarm. There must be a clear distinction between those who are going to heaven and any other person.
There we go. Modest dressing. You need to detach yourself from the world. Look at what the world is dressing like. Look at what those people that doesn't know the Lord are dressing like. So if you are going that direction, you can't pick from that direction and try to squeeze it into this direction, because those two will not agree. Modest dressing here on young people say, we want to promise you that we will come again with this topic and try to answer some of the questions that are coming. Young people had their hands up. They wanted to ask the pastors questions. So please bring up your questions, and we have an episode where we'll just be answering questions, the pastors and the parents, on issues of dressing. So we say on young people, say. Till next time, yours truly, Tete Makove. Thank you.
Parijino hatinga jiwe sese dakara taona Jesu ungetashingirira kare kare dufuna mojapera tichazo jiwe sisa kare kare tashikeyo Parijino hatinga jiwe sise dakara taona Jesu ungetashingirira kare kare dufuna mojapera tichazo jiwe sisa kare kare tashikeyo tenzi wenu oya nebiri time biri takunda aloya to imbira nebiri to imbiri takunda tenzi wenu oya nebiri to imbiri takunda Latino shingaira sekunge muvengi okunda tenzi chitirirei kare kare kuchema marwazo zapera tichazo jiwisisa kare kare tashikeyo mambo edu Latino shingaira sekunge muvengi okunda tenzi chitirwirei kare kare kuchema marwazo zapera tichazo jiwisisa kare kare tashikeyo